You glanced at your bank balance, closed the app before it finished loading, and told yourself you'd check it properly this weekend. You didn't forget the number. You just decided not to look at it long enough to remember it clearly. You told a friend you'd been so busy lately instead of saying you'd been avoiding her calls. It came out so easily it almost sounded true. The mail's been piling up by the door for 3 Sundays now. You keep stepping over it, telling yourself Sunday is still coming. We call it lying when someone else does it to us. When we do it to ourselves, we call it something softer. Coping, perspective. Just not looking too closely yet. 2 years ago, you told yourself you'd start looking for something better as soon as things calmed down. Things never calmed down. You just stopped noticing you were still waiting. There's a rehearsal that happens before you even need the excuse. You practice the sentence in your head, I've just been really slammed, until it stops feeling like a cover story and starts feeling like a fact. Self-deception isn't the same as being wrong. Being wrong means you didn't have the information. Self-deception means some part of you did, and quietly decided not to hand it over. Researchers von Hippel and Trivers propose something almost uncomfortable, that self-deception might not be a flaw in the system. It might be a feature. Their theory is that lying to yourself first makes it easier to lie to other people because you don't have to fake the confidence. You already believe it. A confident belief, even an unearned one, tends to read to other people as sincerity. And sincerity is persuasive. It's easier to convince someone else of something once you've already convinced yourself. It's a contested idea, not something settled the way a measurement is settled. Later, researchers have pushed back on how far the theory should stretch and how much of it can really be tested. But it reframes the question in a useful way. This shows up everywhere once you start looking for it. The test results you skimmed instead of read. The friend group you've been meaning to text for 3 years running. But the clearest version might be the relationship you've been calling complicated instead of over. Complicated describes a situation. It sounds like something that's happening to you. I'm staying because leaving scares me is a different sentence entirely. It's an admission. And admissions ask something of you that descriptions don't. The lie is rarely about the fact. It's about the timing. Not I'm fine. Just not yet. A lie to someone else has to survive them. A lie to yourself only has to survive until tomorrow. And tomorrow, you tell it again. That's the quiet danger in it. Nobody wakes up and decides to spend 5 years in the wrong relationship or a decade in a job they've stopped believing in. They decide to see how next month feels. They decide this isn't quite the right time to leave. Enough small postponements pile up, and one day you look up and it's been years, not months. But looking away isn't always cowardice. Sometimes a person genuinely isn't ready yet. After a loss, after a rejection, after news that changes everything. Sometimes you can only face part of it at a time. Self-deception can be a kind of bridge. It gets you from an unbearable moment to a slightly more bearable one. The trouble starts when the bridge becomes the address, when what was supposed to get you across turns into somewhere you just live. You keep an old photo of yourself from before, in a drawer you don't open. You tell yourself it's just old photos. You know exactly why it's in the drawer and not on the wall. There's a strange kind of relief in almost knowing something. It lets you keep both versions alive at once, the one who's fine and the one who isn't. without ever having to pick. Maybe that's what the bank balance was really protecting you from, not the number itself, what the number would ask of you, because knowing changes what you're responsible for. Once you've looked, I didn't know, stops being available to you. The same logic runs underneath all of it. Calling a relationship complicated is a description. Admitting you're staying because leaving scares you is a decision waiting to be made. And once it's named, it's harder to pretend it isn't there. The test result you'll read properly later works the same way. So, does the message still sitting unopened? Opening it doesn't change the facts. It just removes your ability to say you didn't know. Maybe the hardest truths were never the ones we don't know. They're the ones we already know would ask something of us. The app is probably still open on your phone right now, half loaded, exactly where you left it. What's the number, the message, or the drawer you've been avoiding? If someone came to mind while you were watching, the friend still owed a real answer, the person you've been telling, not yet. Maybe send them this one instead of just telling them you'll call. And if you want more of these, follow along. There's another one waiting next week.